Did you ever felt lost while trying to break into GRC Cybersecurity? Like what course, project, or certification should you do to stand out in front of the employers? Watch this video till the end. I'll break it down for you and exactly show you what works and what does not. Hello YouTube. My name is Amit. I am a security engineer at Google and I have survived 10 years in cybersecurity without losing my hairs. Cyber security used to be a hobby for me, and I started back in high school. And eventually, in my first year of university, I found a bug in Apple, which got me on the Hall of Fame. That is also what got me hooked into bug bounties. And then eventually, I found bugs in a lot of these popular services that I have mentioned here. Professionally, I have worked across red team, blue team, and I was also a team lead in a trading company where I was managing different domains of cybersecurity. In the past, a lot of people have reached out to me on LinkedIn asking for career mentorship and advice on their CV. So I have decided to start this new YouTube series where I will review real profiles and share practical advice on how to improve and upskill. If you would like your profile to be reviewed, then check the details in the description. Today, we are reviewing Viola Lee's profile. She has a background in finance and is completing her Masters of Commerce with a focus on cybersecurity and business analytics from the University of New South Wales, Australia. She is aiming to transition into the GRC domain and land a role as a security analyst. Biggest challenge with her profile is that she's shifting from a non-technical role into a technical one, and she doesn't yet have the hands-on experience that she needs to showcase to employers. And as you know, cybersecurity companies want you to have CISSP, OSAP, and maybe even a PhD from Hogwarts. So let's see how she can bridge the gap without needing to sell another kidney to fund her certification. First of all, can you explain like what is your condition at the moment and what is the goal that you want to achieve as a part of this mentorship and what is the job opportunities that you are looking for?
So, as you might have seen from my resume, I used to read finance and I have finance background, but I really want to transfer to cybersecurity. But the degree I'm reading right now is Master of Commerce in Cybersecurity, so it's not that technical. So I was like, before Ahmed messaged me about this opportunity, I was very eager to broaden my knowledge in this technical field. I have signed up for CC, but I haven't picked the exam yet. I think it is 5 days a year. For my career aspiration, I'm thinking about GRC analyst because I think it would be good for me because I have a finance background. It could be in some places. Yeah. Okay, yeah, thanks a lot for that introduction. So, if you look at the jobs that are available for security compliance analyst, so this is like one of the jobs from Optus, and Optus is a reputed company. So I guess like you can think of it as a standard of what the typical jobs look like. So this job is currently active, but if you look at what they're looking for, so clearly you can see they have a lot of standards which I mentioned here, like ISM, ISO 27001, and a bunch of more standards. So they need people who have some familiarity or skills in these standards. So that's one thing. Additionally, they also mention things like familiarity with network infrastructure, operation technologies, and telecommunication networks, and knowledge in SIM, VPN, WAF, EDR. So, from my understanding from this job description, and also from my experience in the past, because I also used to recruit for GRC roles when I was a security team lead, companies typically look for people who are a mix of technical and then also like more into governance. So if you have knowledge in tech and also have knowledge in the exact like these regulations, then you'll be like a very good fit. And the biggest pain point for companies is that people only have familiarity with the standards, but they don't have technical knowledge. So if you are able to showcase to the company that you do have the technical knowledge, then I think you will be among the top candidates. So I did a bit of analysis of your CV. So I did an analysis on cyber interview prep for your existing CV, and it mentioned about polishing your introduction a little bit. Also mentioned that you are mostly into GRC. But the things that stood out to me was that it mentioned you don't have enough keywords for GRC because you have a lot of keywords about finance. So that's the reason. And then it also mentioned a couple of gaps. For example,
it mentioned you don't have any of the known certifications on your CV, which is something that you also mentioned. And it also mentioned that you do not have hands-on project experience in GRC, but that is like something we can build. So we'll talk about like how to build it. And then in terms of projects and certifications, it gave this roadmap. So you did mention that you are planning to do ISO 2CC. So yeah, that's a good one. And then it also mentioned about these ones. So I would say a lot of these are kind of like when it says medium, they need like about 3 to 6 months to complete. But this is the one I feel which is like the most easiest ones to accomplish out of these, which is ISO 27001 lead implementer. Certification is something we should do, and then project is also something we should do. I did see that you have done 2 projects in your university, but it's always good to show your own personal projects, because if you do something on your own, that shows a bit of enthusiasm that you could do. Let me also show you what your CV looks like at the moment, and then what is our plan. So if I look at your CV, so what it has is at the very start, it has your profession summary. So one thing that kind of stood out to me was that your CV is not very fine tuned for GRC roles. For example, it talks a lot about your experience, but actually company care about more about how good of candidate you are for that exact role. Yeah, this CV is not the very best for applying for that specific role. Yeah, so because the first line itself is like, hey, I've done like finance, but that doesn't give company any value. Okay, so that's first thing that stood out. And then another thing is about 50% of your CV is about a finance analyst. So to be honest, if you send the CV to some finance company also, I think they'll accept you. Because if you look at this, you have mentioned about your University of Manchester finance work. And then if you look at professional experience, only like 20% of your experience is cybersecurity, but everything else is just something like which is not even linked to cybersecurity, like finance, investment, and then your work with cashier. So I feel this adds a lot of fluff in the CV. It adds a lot of noise. So even though somebody's trying to look for exact keywords for cybersecurity, they might not be able to discover them immediately. That recruiters only spend about 6 to 7 seconds looking at the CV. So if you're not able to show them exactly what they're looking for, I think they'll just skip and look at the next CV. Okay. So I've seen a lot of students. The way that they think is that like they try to put everything that they have done in the CV, and they just like send it so that like if company is screening for some certain thing, they might be able to find it there. So that does work in certain cases, but I feel that is the most unoptimal way of achieving, like showing that you're the best candidate for that role. The most optimal way is to only put focus on the keywords that they are looking for, or on the things that they are looking for. It's also at the moment the CV has everything that you have done, but the more optimal CV would be only focused on GRC security analyst role. Yeah. So these are the couple of things that I think can be changed. And let me show you the new CV that I have created for you.